Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Effort Chung, and I've got quite a special review for today's video. I just bought a 1/18 scale Hyundai Elantra, or Avante in Korean, by CM Models. So, unless you're a collector in Korea or China, you probably haven't seen all that many miniature models of Korean cars. And probably you never ever thought about getting one of them. Apparently, model car manufacturers thought there wasn't enough demand for Korean cars, which is why major brands like Audemars or Kyosho never made Korean cars, and Maisto and Burgo lower end budget models aren't interested in making them as well. Well, in Korea, there is a demand for these models because, after all, we are the home country for these cars. And apparently, China is interested in these cars as well. So, this model is made by CM Models, and I believe CM stands for China Models. Uh, Talk about simple naming, right? So they usually go for around 100,000 Korean won, which is slightly less than 100 US dollars. I got this one at a really cheap price. I got it for 30,000 Korean won, which is slightly less than $30, but they normally go around 100 US dollars. I have the original packaging. Reminds me a lot of Norev Dealer Edition boxes. The general opinion about these CM cars is that they have a lot of cool features for the buck, but they're not finished as well as higher end cars. But we'll get to that we'll get to that further on in the video. This car is the Hyundai Elantra. It's actually named Avante in Korean. Elantra is actually the name of its predecessor, which was discontinued in 1995. I'm not completely sure, but I believe Hyundai still names the export version of the Avante Elantra because the name Avante is quite similar to Audi's Avant. This is the fifth generation of the Avante, or sixth if the original Elantra is included. And believe it or not, actually it's pronounced Hyundai, not Hyundai. It's smaller than the mid-size Sonata, so it's probably around the size of a Civic or a Corolla. And so let's get started with the model. Here is the front of the car. It's not a lot better than lower budget models like Maisto or Barago. My right headlamp came scratched and it's very foggy, so we'll focus on the left headlamp. Typical Chinese quality control, right? So here are the headlamps. The headlamps are not too bad. No pegs holding the headlamps attached, and they did a pretty good job with the LED DRLs right there. However, the finishing is not perfect though. You can see bits of black over here. I'm guessing it's paint. Um, so it doesn't look very clean. The grills are completely blocked, but since they have these chrome lines on top of it, it doesn't look so bad. The chrome quality isn't very good. It has scratches here and there, and it's a little bit crooked in some places. And while they did use an emblem piece for the Hyundai logo, it's too thick and it's slightly out of proportion, I think. The fog lamps down here uh, are well made. It's nothing like an outdoor, but at least it's not just painted on. There is a small button under the front of the car, and if you press it, the hood pops up so that you can open it. Goes like that. The engine room is pretty nice. It is in one piece, but it's not like Maisto's one piece plastic engines, which is flat. It's pretty well detailed, and it's pretty nice for the price range, but they use hinges to hold the hood in place, unlike some expensive models which use gas lifts. Um, there's nothing really interesting to see on top of the car. Some CM models have functioning sunroofs, but that doesn't apply for this car. Here is the side of the vehicle. Let's get started with the rims. The rims are actually done really nicely. Um, they did a great job with the two-tone finish, and there are some really good, well-detailed disc brakes down there. There's absolutely nothing to touch on the rims. And one funny feature this car comes with is the functioning side mirrors. So the side mirror folds and then it opens, which is really sweet. Not a too common feature. However, you can see the limits of the CM finishing I told you about earlier. So the black paint they used up there is a little bit smeared, and it's not perfectly clean. Let me get a better view on that. It's a little bit smeared, and it's not perfectly clean. We have chrome parts for the door handles over here, and we also have windows that stops the dust from getting into the car, so that's pretty nice. There isn't a very big gap between the opening parts, so it looks actually very nice, but that also makes it very hard to actually open the opening parts. There isn't even enough space for an opening tool, so you have to use the door handle. And I guess that automatically means that we should minimize opening the door because the chrome on the door handle could scratch off, or even worse, the door handle itself may fall off. We have opening front and rear doors, albeit with a disappointing opening angle. It's not very large, and first of all, the door panels are done actually really nicely. So they used a separate piece for the door handles right there, and they did the buttons pretty nice. The interior is done really beautifully, and the finishing on the interior well exceeded my expectations. I would say it looks as good as a higher end model. We have carpet on the floor, if you can get a view on that. For the floor mats, which is another cool feature, the seats are very nicely made. They are made out of plastic, but they kind of feel soft. They kind of feel soft, and they're not like Maisto's plastic seats, which look very cheap. So that's really nice. And let's move on to the rear. There is a very interesting feature on the rear. I can't really get a good view of it because of the small opening angle. You can fold the rear armrests, and even more fun feature is that hold on. Uh, Even more fun feature is that the rear seats are foldable with carpet on the back of them. So that's really nice. See what I told you about some cool features. Awesome interior, right? While the interior was near perfect, the same cannot be said for the rear end. You can see the huge gap in the rear lamps where the trunk opens. The Hyundai logo is made out of emblem, but it lacks in finishing. The paint inside there, it's not very clean. One thing I really like is how they used emblem for the car names down here instead of using sticker. That's pretty sweet. And they used a separate piece of plastic for the lamp down here. Maisto would have just painted these on. And we have a pretty neat imitation of the rear heated windows. You can open the trunk, and one unique feature of the trunk is that you can open the flap here. The flap opens. Can I get that? And there's a spare tire in there. Just hold on. Well, the flap doesn't stay opened, and it's really hard to get a view inside there because it's all black. But there is a spare tire in there, and you can open the flap, which is a pretty interesting feature. Since the rear seats are foldable, you can get a view of the interior from the trunk, which is pretty nice, I guess. The undercarriage also has some details. One really interesting thing is that this car uses a metal base, which is not that common. Thanks to that, this car weighs a ton, definitely heavier than Outward, and I think it's equivalent to maybe two Maisto cars. So that's it, my review on the CM Hyundai Elantra. So what's the brand CM like? Well, I can't just generalize with one model, but for this Elantra, it was definitely better than lower budget cars like Maisto and Burago cars. And it's definitely fancier than Hot Wheels and Norev, but it's just not enough to be considered a higher quality brand. It lacks too much finishing, and but one interesting thing is that CM doesn't make exotic supercars or famous cars. They usually make everyday cars that people can actually own. So I guess that could be a unique aspect that gives a reason to buy CM models. So anyway, I hope this video was fun for our international viewers. And if you've enjoyed it, please click like and subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, give me a thumbs down. Tell me what I should work on for my next video. And I'll see you guys later then.